I would like to share with you a tweet that I made once that has aged just the best. Just a really well-aged tweet that I made. It's always good to hear that from people. It's like, oh, check out this tweet. It's aged great. But it's not that bad, I promise. But let me double check. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Yes, here it is. This tweet of me from February 27th, 2019. I am furiously uninterested in Xenoblade Chronicles. That is not true anymore. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to make a video talking about Xenoblade Chronicles. The day this comes out is the day Xenoblade Chronicles 3 comes out. And by the time it's uploaded, I will be home from work. It probably just got home from GameStop, and I will just be starting Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And I'm very excited. So I just kind of wanted to go through the series as I know it, as I remember playing it, and kind of just talk about what I remember. This is going to be a little bit more of a loosey-goosey video, less like a review. Because, you know, I haven't beaten any of these main games in a while. Like, I've beaten them. I've beaten Xenoblade 1, 2, and didn't beat X. I'll get to that. But it's been a while. So I'm just going to kind of yammer on about stuff that I remember about the games, things that really stood out to me, and reasons why I really fell in love with this franchise, and I'm just so excited to finally play the third entry this Friday, or today, as you all know it, or in the past if you're watching this video long after it's out. If so, I mean, good on you. Hi. Glad you're interested enough to search up this old-ass video. I need to get off Twitter. It's hashtag #SaveTheOOF is trending, and it's about Roblox. I need to get out of here. So why was I so furiously uninterested in Xenoblade Chronicles back in 2019 and before? Well, there's a few reasons for that. The main reason was I just wasn't into RPGs yet. For those who don't know, you know, most of my discussion videos have been about RPGs, but this is a very new interest of mine. Most of my life, I was not interested in any JRPGs that weren't Pokemon. It wasn't until I played Fire Emblem Three Houses that all changed, because I loved that game so much. It's now one of my favorite games ever, and one of the most important games in my life. Before then, my experience with JRPGs was super limited. There was Pokemon, there was Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelist of the Roses, which, since that is also a tactics-based game, that's what got me to try Fire Emblem. And then once I played Fire Emblem Three Houses, it was just kind of all zoom from there. Another thing about Xenoblade is that from just looking at it, especially from someone who doesn't like RPGs, the combat looked really lacking in impact. Like, you would swing, like, I would be like, oh, you swing your sword at an enemy, a number appears that shows how much damage you did, but the enemy would not actually react to it. And I in hindsight, I really don't know why I made that argument. It's still how I felt. It wasn't like a lie or like an excuse or anything. But I was also a fan for a while of multiplayer shooters. And when you shoot dudes in a multiplayer shooter, there's also no like physical reaction from them either. So that wasn't my best line, but it was how I felt regardless. But yeah, one day I was just like, yo, I'm playing some fucking RPGs these days. That Xenoblade Chronicles, I heard that's really fucking good. I'd better pick it up. I better give it a try. So I went on BestBuy.com. I think it was on sale. It may not have been. I may have just bought it at full price. But I bought the definitive edition re-release on Switch. And then it came. I was in the middle of playing Valkyria Chronicles at the time, but I was way too curious to just kind of keep Xenoblade 1 unopened until I finished Valkyria Chronicles. Plus, I was kind of getting irritated at that game anyway, so I was like, fuck, sorry, Valkyria Chronicles. Sorry, pretty people in the cartoon land with the World War II. I got a Monado to wield and such. So yeah, I booted it up, I played it. It took me like 60 hours to beat it, and I loved it. I really did love that game. The combat lacking in impact from a sight perspective did not translate into how the game felt to actually play. The combat in Xenoblade Chronicles is wildly satisfying. Just, it's addicting, most of all. Like, it's satisfying to select the right abilities at the right times, especially with the definitive edition, which gives you that little, like that marker above your abilities when it's going to do extra damage. Like, if you have an attack that does more damage from the side, it'll, like, light up and be like, hey, you should use me. You're at the side of an enemy. Because you're not always sure in games like this what the side is. Like, you'll feel like you're at the side when you're actually, oh, you're at the diagonal. There's more of the front. This game tells you, and that's very nice. I don't think the Wii version did that. And the whole, like, combo system where you would, like, inflict break on an enemy and then another party member would inflict, like, topple and then launch and all of that. Was launch in 1? I think it was. Yeah, it was, right? It was a lot harder to do in 1 than in 2, but yeah, it was there. But it felt so good to just fucking, like, combine abilities to just knock dudes down so you could just wail on them for a while. You know, it helps that the monster designs were really cool, too. I told you, this video is going to be fucking rambly. The monster designs are pretty cool, even though sometimes when I'm just out in the fields, like in Gower Plain or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, there's some enemies around here. They're really just minding their own damn business. But I'm going to beat them up anyway because I want to see what it's like to fight them, and I'm getting the extra experience would be nice. One frustration I had with fighting, mostly in 1, but I remember this happening in 2 sometimes as well, was when you just be fighting an enemy minding your own damn business, and then suddenly out of nowhere there's this incredibly over-leveled monster that just kind of roams around here that you're supposed to avoid, and it sees you and is like, hey, I want to join some of the fun too, steps on you, and then you die. That was really annoying. Every now and again, like, there's this one place in the forest where you meet Riki, where Riki's village is, whatever that place is called. It's been a while. There was this enemy that I needed to fight for a side quest or something, or a main quest, and there was this massive T-Rex enemy that had a path around where this enemy was. So I either had to wait until fucking the T-Rex passed, and sometimes that wasn't enough because it would still turn around before I beat the enemy, or just beat the enemy super fast before the T-Rex could see me. And neither of those really worked out. I feel like I may have abandoned that side quest at that point. Yeah, I feel like I probably did that. On the topic of the monsters, the world itself of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is incredibly unique. It's one of the shining features of this game is its setting. You know, it takes place on these 2 giant titans, forever frozen in battle in the middle of a vast ocean that just goes on for as far as the eye can see, and for all we know, there's just nothing out there beyond the sea. So just the fact that you're living on humanoid creatures, essentially, that don't move, is wild. Like, you don't call any place that you go a continent. You're on, like, the knee, or the leg, or the shoulder eventually, or its head, or its heart. It's crazy. It's really fucking cool. And I need to find me some more media like this that takes place on a dude. I mean, calling the Bionis and Mechonis dudes doesn't feel accurate, but it's funny, so I'm going to do that. The story and characters as well are really good. Hey, I'm about to talk about a pretty major early game spoiler right here. I wanted to edit it out, but I can't really cut around the way I speak here. So here's this timestamp. Go there if you want to not be spoiled for this early game event in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. All right, here we go. Like the heartbreak near the beginning of the game when Fiora dies, supposedly, is just really good motivation to move forward because they really endeared you to Fiora really quickly. And, you know, Shulk and Fiora are just so immediately cute together that you're like, yes, I want this to continue, and then Metal Face happens, and you're like, fuck, this can't continue. Metal Face has to die now. here we go. And then the story just evolves beyond that to whatever other crazy shit happens. You know, I say crazy shit. I thought the majority of this game's story was actually relatively easy to follow, which surprised me. Like, it's told really well, and it's not until like the very the last act of the game when I started getting a little confused and like, what is happening? Who are you? What is going on here? I'm trying to avoid spoilers because this isn't supposed to be like a main discussion of the story and all of its events, but yeah, most of it is easy to understand. And near the end, I just started getting fucking lost, and there's a particular twist that happens. I couldn't stand it, actually. This seems to be an unpopular opinion. Those who have played the game know the twist I'm talking about. But I thought it was... Well, actually, there are a few twists. You may not know the one I'm talking about. But the one I'm talking about is stupid. Allow me to elaborate without fucking spoiling it. I hate the trope of... I hatched this plan many moons ago. Like... decades ago, I hatched this evil plot, and everything that happened from the time that I hatched the plot to the time that the plot really fell into action, everything that happened in between that was exactly according to plan, and everything worked out, and god damn it, my luck is incredible. I cannot stand that trope, and I was really pissed off when it reared its ugly head near the end of the game. You know me, characters are super important. Characters in Xenoblade 1 are fucking great. Shulk is a very... This series has good protagonists, okay? There's an issue with describing protagonists that are just really nice as being bland. I don't agree with that, necessarily. I think bland characters just literally have nothing going on. Shulk and Rex and 2 have plenty going on. They're just nice. They're just well-meaning, like, morally just people, and that's fine. That doesn't make a character boring. I wasn't bored by Shulk or Rex at all. Rex especially gets a lot of shit, but I guess I'll talk about him later, once I get to 2. But Shulk was great. He was a very nice chap. And speaking of chap, fucking the fact that this game's voice cast is British was very... It's very unique. I've since played more games that have a more British cast, like Dragon Quest XI's cast was basically entirely European. But when it comes to dubs of Japanese media, this is still pretty rare, and I want to see it more. What is it true? Like, this is the way I see it. Is it true that since the game was not initially going to be published in North America, it was only going to be published in Europe? Is that why the voice actors are all English? Is that why they're all British? That makes sense to me, but I'm wondering, like, if this game had always been planned for release in North America, I'm wondering if the dub would be the more standard, like, Americanized dub with all just mostly American accented people. Back on characters, Rhine is the himbo to end all himbos. In that he's big, he's strong, he ain't so smart, but god damn it, is he a great dude. Like, mwah, such a good man. Such an incredible man, that Rhine. He's not incredibly intelligent, but fuck, man, he's not an idiot either. Like, the one scene that... Because my only real recent experience with Xenoblade 1 was watching... I'm trying to keep up with watching Proton John's streams of the game because he's doing his first playthrough of the game on his stream. And the scene where, like, Shulk said, "Oh yeah, I had a vision that Otharon would fall in the goop and die, but I didn't tell you because I'm still getting used to the visions." Ryan was like, "You dipshit, don't do that. We're in this together, you little fucking duke." You Duke dropper? That's not how Ryan talks. It's actually late. It's like less than an hour to my bedtime right now. I'm sorry. But parts like Ryan has moments like that. He has moments where his like really caring personality and his intelligence really shine. He's a great man. And it's just a joy to have around just because of how just good he is. He's also very fatherly, which leads to one of my favorite ships ever, and that's Reyn and Sharla. They like, there's a reason why in Future Connected, the expansion for the Definitive Edition, there's a reason why they replaced Reyn and Sharla with 2 Nopon. That's because they were too busy off wherever they are right now, just having endless sex. You can't fucking tell me, like, they never confirmed it. You can't fucking tell me that once every, like, at the end of the game, where, like, shit starts to calm down a little bit, you can't tell me that Reyn and Sharla didn't end up fucking boning. Like, boning. The sexual tension between them from, like, the immediate moment they met was insane. Like, the first thing that Sharla says to Reyn when they meet is like, "Oh, hey, you remind me of my fiance." You know what that says? That says if my fiance was not mysteriously missing and giving me anxiety because of that, yeah, we'd be doing some stuff right now, because I'm feeling a little lonely right now, Reyn. I'm feeling a little lonely at the moment. You're a big, handsome, fatherly figure, man. That's rude. Like, Sharla wouldn't do that, right? She wouldn't. I like Sharla. She's very straight-laced, but I like her. Honestly, Sharla, I do like her. She actually doesn't invite a lot of discussion. She's a pretty normal character, and I just like having her around, like, in a very normal way. Melia, I only really started to appreciate once I started playing the expansion. Future Connected makes Melia look really fucking cool. Like, there's some cutscenes in that where she's just animated like an action hero, but which is really not the idea that I got from her for the main game. Like, she's very stern. She's very polite. And, sophisticated, because she's a princess. She's a princess of the Hyentia, in the really neat city of Alchemoth. And her sternness really makes her really cool. Her design is beautiful, especially in the Definitive Edition. I will say that this game had a massive glow up from the Wii version. I'm sure that there's still some people who prefer how the Wii version looks, because, the Definitive Edition on Switch looks very much more anime than the Wii version, but God, just some characters just got a 100% improvement. Like, Reyn on Wii had like a bass mouth. Like, he had this like crazy like underlip, and he would talk like a puppet, like when his mouth moved. And Melia, Melia, sweetie, she looked terrible on Wii. I'm sorry. And I don't think this is a fault of the graphics necessarily, because if you look at her like concept art, or like character art rather, she don't look right there as well. She looks like some kind of like weird human baby, or like a adult baby. Her face she's got a baby face, or she's an egg woman or something. So clearly the model was trying to follow the art, but I didn't like the art either. So they really like animate her up in the Definitive Edition and made some general tweaks to her design, and she looks so much better. Like, God, she is a very attractive looking character. I love her hair. I love her facial features, her stern look in her eye. She just looks so cool. And Riki the little Nopon. I feel like someone should be offended by his voice. I don't know who. And I'm going to try not to think too hard about it. Maybe that's why all of the Nopon from here on out don't have, like, exaggerated accents like Riki does. Riki's a good dude! He's a good little boy! But he's not a little boy, he's a dad! He's an old man! He's old as piss! Has, like, 8 kids! But Riki's great! The Nopon are just brilliantly designed little fuzzball mascot characters. And I do love the Nopon design, and whenever you get a main Nopon character, it's always nice. And I love Riki. Like, this is just a good bunch of people. You won't find a fucking anti-hero among them. Like, Shulk is, heart of gold and protagonist. Reyn is a well-meaning himbo man. Sharla cares about her little brother, even if the fucking fan base doesn't. Melia, very, a little snooty, but really polite and kind. Riki's a good dad and a hero pawn for the ages. Fucking lovely cast this is. I'm not forgetting anybody, am I? Dunban! Why the fuck am I forgetting Dunban? I have a lock screen of you know, characters that I find attractive. They like go through like waifus and husbandos essentially. It's a slideshow that plays when I lock the computer. Dunban was the first Xenoblade character I added, and I'm over here forgetting him. Another, like, he's just a hero. Like a hero character. He's just this over-the-top fucking flamboyant hero dude. And he is also great. Sexy as hell, man. Sexy dude he is. I'm trying my best actually not to go into too much detail because I've got a lot to talk about. I've got 3 games to cover. So yeah, the fucking Xenoblade 1, just the setting and the characters especially. I loved mostly the setting. The characters, as much as I like him, I do think they will be outdone later. But the setting is fucking cool as hell. The gameplay is super addictive and fun to play through. The side quests, I really like how they were structured, because you had a number of side quests that were longer and more plot focused, but you also had a lot of really short side quests that were just for like, hey, I want to play the game, I want to get a little bit of experience or a little bit of money, and I just want to play the game. So here's a big handful of side quests that are just, hey, go kill 5 enemies, or hey, go get some of these supplies. You don't even need to come back to me to tell me you did it. You just gotta do it and I'll give you the experience. I love that system, and I wish that all RPGs like this, all open world-ish RPGs, had more side quests like this. Just, especially when the combat is so fun, just something to be like, hey, I want to just play the game and make progress doing it rather than just grind randomly. So just give me some objectives and we'll be good. And this game does that, and I appreciate it. I mentioned Future Connected a little bit. The little 10-hour side episode sequel game that comes with the Switch version of the game. It was nice. Its story was kind of there. You got to explore the Bionic Shoulder, which is a place that you never got to go. It's like the one main body part of the Bionis you didn't get to go to during the main game. And this was fun. The story was a little inconsequential. Essentially, Alchemoth is just in danger from this mysterious force, and you need to stop it. That's basically it. But it was fun. I played that very recently, like, excuse me, a couple of months ago. Because, you know, I wanted to just finish all of the main content from Xenoblade 1 and 2 before Xenoblade 3 came out. So I played first Torna for Xenoblade 2, and then I played Future Connected shortly after that. And it reminded me just how fun this game's combat is. Like, I remember it was described to me as MMO-like at first. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm sure it plays like an MMO. I haven't really played any, but, you know, I'll believe people. And then down the line, I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, which I've been playing on and off, mostly off, since. And then I'm like, oh, yeah. Wow, this game is just Xenoblade, isn't it? Or Xenoblade is just Final Fantasy XIV. Like, they play exactly the same, with your, like, hot bar of abilities that you can select, some of which have advantages over others, like, when you use them in a certain way. You've got your aggro that you can, you know, push onto one character, like your tank character, like, or in this case it would be Ryan. You got your healer, you got your DPS guy who doesn't take aggro, but, you know, does a lot of damage in the meantime. They play shockingly similar. If you're listening to me ramble about this, and you haven't played the game, first of all, I'm sorry, none of this is probably making sense. And second of all, if you enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, which I know this fan base does, then yeah, try Xenoblade Chronicles. They play exactly the same. You'll feel very at home. Another thing about Future Connected that I found really fun was the finding the Pawn Specters, which were these just like 12? It was a double-digit number of Naupons that you could just find throughout the world. They would have a side quest for you to do, and then you would join them. And your super attack that you essentially get, it replaces the chain attack for the main game. But instead of a chain attack, you just you do this like Naupon-based attack that does just a lot of damage or heals you a lot. You get to choose. and I think there's a third effect that I don't remember. But the more Pond Specters you find and do their side quests, first of all, they follow you around once you do that, which is adorable because you just have this army of babies following you, and your other two party members are not Pond 2, they're Ricky's kids, and they replace Ryan and Charla while they go off making babies of their own. So you just have this army of babies following you, just tons of this 15 Napon following behind Shulk the whole time. It's really cute. But yeah, Future Connected was a fun little diversion as well. And Xenoblade 1 is a absolutely fantastic game. It is a great starting point for the series. Each game's story is different from the other, but Xenoblade 2 builds on Xenoblade 1 in so many ways, and is also not as good in so many ways, that I definitely recommend starting with Xenoblade 1. But there is one game I'm missing, isn't there? That is Xenoblade Chronicles X, the Wii U game that is still, to this day, stuck on the Wii U and will never get a port. I played this game for like 5 hours and it did not hook me. There's a lot of things I did not care for about this game. First of all, I don't like the art style. It follows more in the footsteps of Xenoblade Chronicle 1's look, just in like HD, and it does not translate well. Some characters just look freakish. The lighting on the character models doesn't look right, so they've got like these dark shadows all over them. The face, did I say the faces look bad? Well, they do. The world looks okay, I guess, and the monster designs are cool. The actual humans, I don't like. I don't like how your main character is a silent avatar that you can create. Coming off of Xenoblade 1, where Shulk was such a strong part of it, and his characterization was so good, just taking that away from the protagonist entirely is just a bad idea, in my opinion. The UI is terrible and is puny. I think they made the text as small as they possibly could, while having still people technically be able to see it and make out the words, but most of the fucking text in this game is absolutely goddamn tiny. Even on my 60-inch TV, I find it difficult to look at. And yeah, the plot didn't hook me at all, and frankly, that's mostly because of the characters. The few characters that I ended up meeting, I was not interested in at all, and the Avatar protagonist, the silent protagonist was such a... that did not help anything about this game at all. Plus, I mean, the more I hear about it from other people who have played it more, the less it interests me. Like, the fact that the plot is not, like, as much of a focus in this game in general. The game focuses a lot on side quests and multiplayer. Like, of course you could play the game single player, but... you know, if the game really wants you to play multiplayer, then the single player part of the game will suffer. That's just how games designed with multiplayer as the focus work. Yeah, I've not heard a lot that makes me want to hop back into this game. I will probably one day if I really just feel like playing more Xenoblade, but don't want to play 1, 2, or 3. So, I mean, my journey with it's not over. Besides, it's not like there is nothing that I liked about the game. The scale of the world is really impressive. This game seems enormous, and so do some of the monsters. It was wild when I was walking to New LA, and on my way there, I just saw some gigantic fucking, like, brontosaurus-looking things where I was the size of their toe. Like, you had some pretty big monsters in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, but I'm pretty sure X's, like, massive monsters really kind of outdoes even that. Some of the monsters are fucking huge, and it's really stunning to walk, like, so close to them, because, you know, the ones I'm talking about are more gentle giants. Also, the music. Fuck. The music is mind-blowing. It's immaculate. It's spectacular. I did not hear a lot of the soundtrack, but the soundtrack is fucking great. If I'm just going by what I've heard, it could already be my favorite Xenoblade Chronicles soundtrack. I adored the music I heard. Like, it's got this, like, orchestral, like, hard rock to it. The battle theme is like a rap song. Actually, I didn't really like the battle theme. That's the one song I didn't really care for. But, I mean, even the night theme of New LA that has, like, some hip-hop bits to it, hip-hop and R&B, I think that was good. So it's not just the presence of hip-hop that turns me off. It's just that the battle theme I didn't like. But Jesus! Like, the what the fuck was the place called? Primordia. That's one of the really early areas in the game. The music for both day and night for Primordia is unbelievable. Fucking mind-blowing music. Easily the best thing that I took away from my short time with Xenoblade Chronicles X. Apparently the soundtrack is contentious. Maybe there's some weirder songs later. I mean, some of the songs are definitely bizarre. But from everything I've heard, I've absolutely loved. And that's really all I can say about Xenoblade Chronicles X right now. Maybe I'll go back to it one day. But let's move on to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This game is mostly beloved, don't get me wrong, but it's still a little bit contentious. You'll see a lot more people leaning towards the negative with this game than the first game. The first game seems pretty unanimously beloved amongst JRPG fans. Xenoblade 2 seems a little bit more controversial. What do I think? Well, I always describe Xenoblade Chronicles 2 the same way. It is the most deeply flawed game that I've ever loved. There is so much wrong with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that by all means should have ruined my experience. I should not like this game as much as I do. But I do. I fucking love this game. I love it to bits. But there's a lot wrong with it. And since I love it so much, and since there's so much wrong with it, I'm going to start with the negatives, because I'm going to get really positive later. Biggest problem is the map. The map is fucking useless. Frankly, whoever designed the, like, literal map that you bring up the menu and look at, they should be ashamed of themselves, because it is often more of a hindrance than a help. The biggest problem is it is absolutely terrible at conveying, like, altitude. Oftentimes you will find yourself looking for, like, a way to get to a higher up place that a waypoint is on. And you just cannot find it because, like, I guess one thing that doesn't help is a lot of these areas are built in really unnatural and unconventional ways that it's difficult to find the way up to certain places or down to certain places to begin with. But the map makes absolutely no favors in, like, it does absolutely no favors in trying to figure it out either. There's one particular time that really fucking got my goat. I think this was in Morag, I think. There was a side quest where I was in the town. I was standing directly on top of the waypoint to do this side quest, and it just wasn't there. I was in the middle of a street, so there wasn't exactly many places I could go from there. I'm in the middle of a street. I'm not inside a building that could be upstairs or downstairs. There's no, like, lower level to this city, to my knowledge. Where the hell is this side quest? Well, it turns out there was a lower level. How do you get there? You have to jump over a fucking railing that is there to keep you from falling off the fucking cliff into the cloud sea, and then land on this fucking ledge that is just off this cliff, and then you can go from there to this side quest. That is nonsense, and the map does not portray that at all. That pissed me off so fucking much. And problems like that happen all the time in this game. This is probably a symptom of the fact that it came out before the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, because Xenoblade Chronicles 1 had a little, like, line. Like, if you are trying to go to a particular waypoint, there's a line on the map, a path that is drawn that will show you exactly how to get there. I feel like that may be that may have been a direct response to how shit the map is in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Why did I put emphasis on the Chronicles like that? I don't know. On the topic of side quests, they're just too long in this game. I feel like this is a very mixed thing, because what they did do is they almost entirely got rid of those side quests I said I liked in Xenoblade 1, where they were just kind of inconsequential, no real story-based experience side quests, which I liked a lot because it just let you play the game, but I understand that that's definitely not an opinion that everybody will share. A lot of people, I'm sure, look at side quests like that, it's just padding. That's just, I don't want to have to do all of these if I'm trying to 100% the game, which is fair. So they got rid of it, and I understand that decision. The big problem, though, is the side quests that are in the game, there's less of them. They have more of a story to them, but goddammit, they go on forever. I feel like half the time I would go and report this one step I did in a side quest back to the quest giver, and like 5 times in a row they would have just more shit for me to do. And this game is verbose. Like, there is a lot of very colorful flavor text that characters say. Like, they're not just going to be like, oh, get me this thing. They're going to tell you why they need that thing. They're going to make a joke about the fact that they need that thing. And then they're going to repeat one more time that they need that thing. So there's a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot of steps to completing a lot of side quests. Some of the side quests have really, really good stories to them, and that makes kind of the medicine go down better. But there was just a point where I was running out of patience. I was like, am I done with your damn fetch quest yet? No? God damn it. I'm sure, I feel like this is a pretty infamous issue with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but the tutorials are not good. Chugga Conroy really put it better than me, and he pretty much perfectly describes the issue. It's that the tutorials are poorly worded. They're also a bit flavorful, so they're often easy to misinterpret, and you can't review them. This is not a simple game. Xenoblade Chronicles has a lot of mechanics, and it is completely understandable for you to forget how some things work or that some things even exist. And if you do, too bad, because you can't go back and look at the tutorials. What's even more frustrating is that Torna the Golden Country, which is the expansion of this game, added that ability to it, but that was never ported forward to the main game. The main game still has this issue, and it's unacceptable. With how big of a game this is, you need to be able to review the tutorials. And I'm pretty sure this was something in the Wii version of Xenoblade 1 as well. Like, please let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure you could review tutorials in Xenoblade 1 on the Wii. So, there's no excuse here. The voice acting is not as good as the first game as a whole. The voice acting, is not always terrible. It's just sometimes terrible. I mean, all of the voices sound right, and I do like how, each region in this game has a different English language accent to it. Like, one place has, like, a Welsh accent, one place is Scottish, one place is Australian, like stuff like that. That was neat. And everyone sounds good overall, and some performers are just great throughout, but others are iffy. Rex is iffy. Pyra and Mithra are iffy, especially when you compare how Pyra and Mithra sound in Super Smash Bros. They sound great there, and it's the same voice, so it's clearly the direction that's the issue. There's this one character named Patroka who is fucking unbearable the entire time. Her performance is distractingly bad. I don't think that there's a single natural sounding line that she speaks in the entire game. And I hated when she was on screen because she was an immersion breaking nonsense act. I'm trying not to blame the voice actress because it is almost definitely the direction, which is a consistent problem with this game. But yeah, Patroka was the worst offender of this, easily. And then the one thing that every single person who has heard of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is aware of, and that is the character designs. I do not hate them all. I don't know if I hate many of them. There are some characters that Rex looks stupid, but I got over it, because his outfit, in context, it makes a little bit more sense. It's a diving suit that he, takes apart when he's not diving so that he can move. Alright, that makes sense. That's why he's got his little helmet that Gramps rides around in. Pyra and Mithra. Pyra looks a little stupid, I guess. But the real issue is that a lot of characters are over-designed and or over-sexualized. Now listen. I ain't a prude. I am very much in the camp of aesthetic over practicality when it comes to designs. Because if you do it consistently enough, you just get characters that look cool, even if you look at their outfits like, oh, that doesn't make much sense. I don't like that at all. Yeah, that wouldn't work in real life. That's fine. They look cool. They're not supposed to look practical. They're supposed to look cool. Problem is, a lot of these characters don't really look cool. Pyra and Mithra, I wish I could fully appreciate their designs without guilt, but they are very horny. They have very large, pronounced boobage. Pyra's got like the whale tail thong going on. Mithra's dress is really short. They're designed. They're very attractive ladies, but they are over-designed for sure. Especially Pyra. Mithra less so. When you really at the end of the day, she's just wearing a white dress. But Pyra looks kind of over-designed. And some of the other blades that you meet throughout the game, because, you know, there's the blades. They're like this race of humanoids, most of the time humanoids, that live in the core crystals and are summoned out by humans who they are then tethered to. That's kind of iffy, but, you know. Then some blades just look fucking ridiculous. And what doesn't help is that the character designs for the blades oftentimes are done by guest artists, most of which I cannot name. Mostly like anime and manga artists that come in to do like a character for this game. And a lot of their designs clash in very obvious ways. And it's just this massive, like this mishmash of styles that just really clash with each other like crazy when you get a bunch of different ones on the screen. Like, the main villains of the game are designed by Tetsuya Nomura, the Final Fantasy guy. And, you know, they even stick out a little bit, but it definitely does not end there. There's this one blade named Vess. I don't know who designed her. I'm sure in most contexts her design would look fine, but, like, I think she in particular really sticks out like fucking crazy, especially her 3D model. It just does not look very good, and it does not look like it belongs in this game. Even beyond the designs, like, the over-sexualization kind of rears its head in other ways too. There's this one blade, I'm looking at a list of them, trying to figure out which one it is that I'm thinking of. Why, of course, I am talking about the blade whose name is... I seriously can't find it. Hold on. Perun. I think that's Perun. Perun? Her design is actually fine. I like how she looks, but I don't know what the fuck this decision was, but they just cranked up the jiggle on her, like, significantly. It's not something I'm, like, paying attention to. Like, every time you summon a rare blade, they get this cutscene that shows them off. And, you know, when she stops moving, her titties stop moving, like, 5 seconds later. Like, and it's just her that has this insane level of boingage on. Like, why? Her design isn't, like, that particularly horny. It's not horny, but it's not that horny. Like, you would think that would be saved for another character. Oh, wait. There's the worst one. There's Dahlia. Dahlia is a monstrosity. Like, first of all, just on a basic level, her design is pretty boring. She's just this naked ice lady who is thick with 8 C's and has, like, enormo titties that sag in a very, like, uncannily realistic way in a world of torpedo titties. Like, she's got the saggage going on. And then but that's not even the worst bit. The worst bit is her fucking hands and feet. She got these massive, like, monster, like, beast hands, like Felicia from Darkstalkers. But it's like they looked at Felicia from Darkstalkers and was like, hey, that's cute. Let's make it gross. And then she has these fucking feet with, like, a claw spike coming out of her heel to, like, imitate, like, natural high heel shoes, but it just makes her entire existence look like pain. She looks really painful to live as, and I'm so sorry that you have to exist this way, Dahlia. You're actually a really good character. I like your personality. I like your, like, country accent in the English version. Oh, I'm just so sorry you have to live your life like this. And one more, like, just complaint, I guess, before I get to the positives is, throughout the game, Rex, the main character, does you see a very obvious romantic connection being given between Rex and Pyra/Mithra, which is a little weird considering the fact that Rex is 15 and Pyra and Mithra are, let me double check here, not. Okay, so Pyra is 500 years old. Mithra is more than 500 years old. I would be able to look past this easier if Pyra and Mithra looked or acted or sounded or behaved like someone Rex's age, but they don't. They are very clearly meant to be adult women. So that just makes their whole relationship a little icky. And I wish I could ignore it more than I do. It didn't ruin the game. It didn't ruin the story. It didn't even ruin these characters. But it's just, something to keep in mind. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's fun here. I'm not trying to be like, oh, this game is problematic. You can't like it anymore, or you can't like these characters anymore. But, I'm discussing the game, and this is a part of the game I feel worth discussing. Also, please, dear Lord, if you are compelled to try to explain the age of consent laws in Japan to me, it does not help like you think it helps. So just don't bother. Don't bother, please. So I'm done bitching. To kind of piggyback off of the design issues, of course, some of them look fucking stupid. Some of the characters look terrible. Some of the characters look fantastic. Morag is a brilliant design. She is one of the fucking coolest chicks I've ever seen in a game. First of all, girls in pants need to be more of a thing in anime. Like military girls wearing these fucking cool pants. Like fucking, I am pro pants. Put my ballot in for pants. Her hat's a little dumb, but everything else about her design, what a badass. Like, I remember, I've actually been listening to a lot of old episodes of Castle Super Beast, the podcast with Wooly and Pat, formerly of Super Best Friends Play. I remember they were talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 briefly. Pat was talking about how a friend of his stopped playing because Rex looks too stupid, and she couldn't get over that. I can't argue that. I really can't. But then Wooly, who I guess is not super familiar with the game, looked up some characters, and he was like, "Oh, this Morag? This is fucking sick looking." And that, yeah, she is incredible. Nia is super cute, very good design. Very good voice. I love how she has this deep Welsh accent, and she's very sassy and bitchy, kinda. Not even really bitchy. That's not the right word, but she's got an attitude on her, and that really endears you to her. Very, very good choice of voice there. And in terms of my favorite blade, Pandoria. What a strong design Pandoria has. She is super cute. Super unique looking. I love the light bulbs everywhere. I love the tail. I love the shoulders that are just light bulbs themselves. Just, wow. Pandoria is just a bean. I love her. Fucking, and her cloudy glasses. Oh, I love cloudy glasses. Cloudy glasses are a major weakness of mine when it comes to character designs. Or just like round glasses that obscure the eyeball. Like that one girl from Little Witch Academia. Her glasses weren't clouded, but they were round, and all you could really see through them were her pupils. I don't remember her name, but wow, what a good choice of design that was too. That character is super cute, and Pandoria is also fucking super cute. Incredible design, also just cool too, just also cool. And the cast overall is great. I really think this game has a stronger main cast than Xenoblade Chronicles 1 does. I love the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 characters, but I found myself endearing a bit more to the characters of this game. Probably because they're a little bit more out there. Shulk, Rhine, Fiora, maybe not Dunban or Ricky, and Sharla, they seem like very down-to-earth normal people. Yeah, I don't really think you could say that so much with this gang. Rex is pretty down-to-earth normal. Nia, again, is very sassy and very headstrong, and has some anger issues here and there. Like, there's this one scene earlier in the game where she sees a wanted poster with what's supposed to be her face. It just looks like a cat because she's a cat girl. And then she gets pissed and rips it up. Like, one of the best parts about this game, like, leaning more anime, is how expressive everyone is. Nia is just super expressive throughout the whole game. She is also super endearing. She, you know, I guess, like, in the same way that, like, Shulk, Fiora, and Melia were in a bit of a love triangle in the first game. Rex, Nia, and Pyra and Mithra have their own love triangle in this game. And a lot of me's got to root for Nia. Like, she deserves some happiness in her life. Damn it, she really deserves it. I talked about Morag as well. I mean, I guess I've already kind of ruined it if you haven't already played the game. But Morag is a party member. I didn't know that at first. It was a great surprise to see that. But then again, I've learned, hey, if you've got a villain type character who has any moral code at all, they're going to become a party member. And that's the rules of JRPGs. Zeke. I can't believe I talked about Pandoria before I talked about Zeke. Fucking God. This crazy shonen, like, over-the-top superhero Sentai protagonist. Sentai's not right, but he does all these fucking poses. This, like, Team Rocket almost entrance whenever he's on screen. This absolute ridiculous creature that you just keep running into in the game. But he's got such a good, like, he's got so much to build on beyond just him being this ridiculous action hero dipshit. He's got, like, you learn a lot about him. He seriouses up when he needs to. Zeke is fantastic, and him and Pandoria are such a great team. Two fantastic characters working hand in hand. Torna, I was mixed on Torna at first because of how they introduce him and his artificial blade Poppy, who is baby, but eventually grows into not baby. That's a little weird. But Torna, I ended up kind of growing on. I like Torna's voice. His personality is cute, and I think, like, one thing I didn't realize at first was the fact that I think he's supposed to be like a young Nopon. Nopon are, like, they have longer lifespans than humans, I think. So, and I think Torna is supposed to be like a young teenager, I think, which made it a little bit more understandable and a little bit more endearing with how weird he is at first and how weird he continues to be. But yeah, Torna grew on me. He's not a favorite of mine, but, you know, I like him fine. The cast is good. The story gets very sad later, which kind of endears you more to them. And the setting is great, too. I really go back and forth on whether I like Xenoblade 1 or 2's setting more. Like the Bionis and Mechonis versus all of these continents that are on the backs of living sea creatures. You know what? I think I'm going to go with 2. Because, you know, sea creatures are a weakness of mine. Like, I mentioned that in my Final Fantasy X review, how, like, Sin won me over because it's a giant, disgusting whale monster. And this one, like, you are on the back of giant, not really all that disgusting whale monsters throughout the whole game. And that's fucking rad. I love the fact that all of these continents are, you know, living creatures that are dying out. And the whole game is kind of an allegory for climate change. And the fact that you're in this giant cloud sea. It's, like, one thing to be very clear about that. It's a literal sea with clouds on top. It's not like, oh, a sea of clouds when you're high in the sky. You're not in the sky. You're above water. Which confused me very early on, but then I got it. Okay, yeah, it's just a sea that has clouds on top. Which is cool. I haven't seen anything like that before. I guess the last thing I want to talk about with Xenoblade 2, at least the main game, is the gacha mechanic. You know, you collect your core crystals, which means you can get different rare blades, which are, you know, you get blades throughout the game, which again are the creatures, the humanoid creatures that fucking, like, tether themselves to you once you summon them. But of course, there's a number of rare blades that you can get that have specific character designs and are more unique on their own. And have their own side quests. Every one of them has their own side quests. This game is fucking huge. I cannot imagine in a million years 100%ing this game myself. There's essentially a gotcha mechanic to get them. You have a random chance of getting either a regular boring blade or a rare blade. I don't mind it so much because it is actually, like, if I'm not mistaken, the actual math about it is in your favor. Since this game isn't selling you loot boxes or anything, there's no reason to gate off the rare blades from you for a particular amount of time. So eventually, you're going to get the blades you want. You just need to keep grinding for core crystals to get them. But you will get them, which is nice. And especially for someone like me who has absolutely no intention of 100%ing this game, it makes every playthrough a little different, because you are going to get a different set of blades at a different set of time, and that's cool. Now I want to just talk briefly about Torna. Torna takes place 500 years before the events of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It talks about how Mithra did what she did, and how Pyra came into being. And it's got a great story. It's a great little condensed 20-hour story. The only problem is that most of that 20 hours is spent doing side quests, because near the end of the game, you need to complete a certain number of side quests in order to progress. And guess what? The side quests in Torna have all the same problems as what I had with the side quests in the main game, in that they're too long and there is too much text to read through them. And when that is all you are doing, I got really fucking tired of it. It's a damn good thing that Xenoblade Chronicles 2's combat is so much fun once you get the hang of it, because that really pushed me through the actual gameplay of it. The story, I had no problem hooking me. I love the story of Torna, but it was up to the gameplay to really hold the rest of the weight. Alright, it is actually getting very late, and I pretty much talked about everything I remember about Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and X. I probably left out a lot of stuff, and this was probably far more rambly than I usually do, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I just wanted to kind of yammer on about Xenoblade Chronicles because I really have grown to fucking love this series, and I am incredibly excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Some early reviews are out. Apparently the game is really good, but I never expected this game would get bad reviews anyway. That's just how reviews are. Like, even shitty games get good reviews sometimes. But, you know, I don't have any reason to not expect this game to be great. So, I'm very, very much looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And you could probably expect a video on that when I finish it. And, again, working on Final Fantasy IX. And once I finish that, you'll get a video on that as well. Thanks for joining me for this hour-long yammer, and I will see you next time for the next hour-long yammer. You take care now.